And we're going to go, first of all, to page 17 of The Guardian. Rowling's tweets were not a crime, police Scotland says. I was talking about this yesterday on the show, and you'll know that she put out a tweet listing a number of people from the trans communities. And there was a lot of complaints by a number of trans activists to say, how dare you put us on the same list of psychopathic criminals, right? And their concern was they should be protected against violent speech that leads to them being not just marginalised, but threatened. And my point, just to be clear, and, I hate being right, but I was, is that this isn't a law that's going to protect freedom of speech on the one hand, or protect trans communities from the type of concerns, to say the very least, that they have. And some people say, including The Guardian, interesting that it's on page 17, that this is not a law that is really going to work or function. The police are busy, and most importantly, J.K. Rowling's done nothing wrong. And if she's done nothing wrong, what's the point of the law in the first place?
Exactly. She basically stuck two fingers up at the SNP yesterday and to the cops and said, arrest me if you dare. And of course, they haven't dared. They've run away from a fight with her because she's rich enough to take them on. But my fear with this law, Rob, is that they're going to target people who aren't as rich as JK, who aren't as high profile as JK, who aren't as powerful as she is. And what she has said today in the papers, which I didn't used to much like JK before, but I love her now. I mean, I think most women in Britain are on her side. What she said yesterday is, if they go after a woman who was not high profile, she said, I will repeat what that woman has said and stand beside her, and they'll have to arrest me too at the same time. So I think that is a brilliant thing to do. And, you were talking about that, lots of trans people are upset, and India Willoughby was particularly upset. A lot of these trans activists have to, if they want to be protected from abuse, they have to stop giving it out. They have to stop doling it out. They're not afraid to dole it out. They've doled it out to J.K. Rowling. And, I think the trans argument is separated into two groups. You have the people who are living as trans, happily getting on with their lives, and you have the activists who are turning people against lovely trans people who are just trying to live their very best life. And that...
Well, not just live their life, they want to be safe, is the point.
Well, but they are safe. But
just to put the counter-narrative, I want to be clear about it. I mean, there is, I think, no dispute by anybody that not only are they marginalised, but the reality is they're most likely to experience violence as a community. Young trans members
do we know that to be true?
Yeah, we absolutely do.
Because, OK, well, I mean, if you've got the stats on that, that's fine, but I don't have the stats on that, so I don't.
And I think that argument works both ways, though, doesn't it? Because what we're trading in here, as we always do with this argument, is the extremes. We're trading in the extremes, and I think to a degree. I mean, you say that the police have run away from a fight.
Yeah.
They've applied the law, is what they've done. They haven't run away from a fight. It's not the police's job to pick or run away from a fight. It's their job to apply the law. And in a sense, what J.K. Rowling has done is proven the Scottish government's point, in a sense, that this law isn't necessarily going to stop people like J.K. Rowling or whoever it may be saying, having the freedom to say the things that she says.
Stating a biological fact.
The difficulty is the law needs to be clear. It's very interesting looking at this argument, listening to what Hamza Yusuf says. He says, on X, he said, I do my best to shield my children from the racism and Islamophobia I face on a regular basis. That becomes increasingly difficult when racist graffiti targeting me appears near our family home. Now, those statements are deliberately targeted. Excuse me, I got overexcited here.
It's a passionate...
digestive biscuit before I started.
Absolutely right.
So to get going, the reason that that's a breach of the law is because it's targeted against an individual designed to suborn violence against that particular person.
And you can see how that could be applied in the trans, to somebody who's trans.
Precisely.
Can you not?
Well, no, but what JK has only ever said, she's only ever stated biological facts. And if some trans activists are insulted by that, well, that's no. But they said to JK in weeks gone by, delete your tweets because you have broken the law. And she clearly hasn't broken the law. So who are they going to get?
Well, again,
who are they going to safeguard these?
Again, though, we're trading in the extremes, aren't we? And we're conflating things that aren't to be conflated, that aren't the same. And I think that
you talk about extremes. Go online and look at the trans activists, what they do and say to people who do not buy into their ideology. Look at what they've done to J.K. Rowling.
I think
it's a
well, hang on a second. What have they done to? I mean, J.K. Rowling, is as you describe, a powerful woman who can
What
look
have
after
they done to
themselves.
her? Death threats. They've come outside her home. She gets abuse every day. She gets threatened with her life. Her family gets threatened. It's very difficult for her to go out now because of what's happened to her. That's what they've done to her. And someone who someone who wasn't as rich as her, who didn't have the power to protect themselves in the way she has. God knows what their life is.
And the problem with that argument, though, Carol, and it doesn't make it invalid, but the issue, of course, is that there are people living as trans who have the exact same experience. All of those things that you've just outlined there, not being able to live freely, not being able to be themselves, feeling targeted and hated, is an experience that community have on a daily basis. And I think that it doesn't
you say that
undermine the point.
People say this is what they have on a daily basis. I don't know if I'm buying into that. Trans people...
Well, how long have you been a trans person?
Well, I'm not a trans person. Of course I'm not. And of course I can't speak on their behalf. But, I don't sense a hatred of trans people. I don't sense... what I sense is a frustration with the activists who try to upset other people.
And I think
we've got to move on. But I have to say, I was accused yesterday by various trans activists of being a proto-TERF, whatever that means. And I have to say, I'm a free speech fundamentalist. A number of them were claiming that if this were targeted against my communities, I would be, actively asking for the police to intervene. I don't think it's the role of the police to intervene in matters of freedom of speech. I'm pretty fundamentalist about that, unless it ends up in situations, exactly as we were talking about before, where you are inciting violence. And that's my starting point.
There's got to be a line, hasn't there?
If you disagree with me in a respectful and reasonable way. That's part of the privileges and the fundamental freedoms that we all enjoy, and why we're sitting here having this discussion in the first place. So please don't shout at me on Twitter. I'm not going to reply.